Hello, everyone. Welcome back to day 12 of the Regeneration Marathon. In today's edition, we're taking a look at another controversial story, maybe, and it is Time the Rani. Once again, I'm joined with Luke.
Yes, hello everyone. It's certainly one of those ones that ranks quite high up there when it comes to people's less favorited stories, I suppose. I don't think it's quite as much hate as the Twin Dilemma though.
I mean, it's
But
part of season 24, and that's not a great season, in my opinion.
yeah, I think it's probably people's least favorite. A lot of people's least favorite, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. And I think you'll often find people who have like one story they really like from that season and then discard the rest. And almost like everyone's got a different one, really.
I'm sure we'll reveal our favourites of season 24 as we go on.
Yeah, we shall do. It was an interesting season, though, wasn't it? Because at the time, John Nathan Turner had lost his doctor. Colin Baker had been fired at this point by the BBC. They were happy for Doctor Who to go on after its trial, but didn't want it to go on with Colin Baker as the doctor. Eric Saywards also left during Trial of a Time Lord, I think, like right at the ends there due to some tension with JNT to say the least. And so he was left with no doctor, no script editor, and not very long until production on season 24, sorry, was meant to start. I think like 8 weeks, maybe.
Yeah, that rings a
It's
bell.
about. Yeah. And so he turned to Pip and Jane Baker, who had helped him out for the final part of Trial of a Time Lord as well, after Eric Saywood left and finished that off for him. And so he commissioned them to do the first story of what would become Sylvester McCoy's first season. So while he left them to get on with that script, he started his hunt for the new Doctor. And I think McCoy was always his favourite for the role, wasn't he?
Yeah, John Nathan-Turner was very crafty. He auditioned people who weren't gonna get the part, so he put like McCoy as his, the best of the bunch there. So like there was no other sort of questioning that McCoy would have got it anyway.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? He very much wanted McCoy for the part. Some people at the BBC were a bit unsure about him, weren't they? So, yeah, he craftily went, let's make sure he's the best one here so that he gets the job. And fair enough, it's certainly a decision that's paid off. And he did some screen tests with Janet Fielding as well.
Yeah, Fielding seems to be like the go-to Who girl for JNT. Like she
Yeah.
did the thing with a Sontaran.
Hmm.
We shall not name that curse thing. Nor
No, we
the
shall not.
the screen tests for the other doctors.
Yeah. So technically, she's worked with every 80s Doctor, really.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
That's trivia. Should we move on to
Yeah.
trivia? Because I thought that's a good bit of trivia.
Yeah, let's go for it. I mean, first generation to happen at the beginning of a story now, because we've had a good run so far of proper regeneration stories, really, post regeneration. This one, it sort of blurs the line a bit because it's technically a regeneration story and a post regeneration story, if you look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes to the regeneration box set that they released, this story is included there as the only, well, one of the only post generation stories, because you'd also have TV movie there, which fills that same role, really. But yeah, it's an odd one, isn't it? And I suppose it also makes Sylvester the first Doctor to play two different incarnations of the Doctor, because, as is well known, it was him in a wig at the start of the story before regenerating into himself.
I would never have guessed that.
No, they hide it so well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
What was the working title for this one?
I believe the working title was called Strange Matter.
Hmm. Which certainly plays a role in this. It's the big asteroid, isn't it? It's what the Rani's after.
Yes.
Yeah.
For her time manipulator.
Mm. Yeah. Wanda Bentham and Donald Pickering, who appear in this story as Faroon and Bayus, were also together on the Faceless Ones as Captain Blade, and I cannot remember Wanda Bentham's character's name, but she was the secretary to the Commodore, wasn't she?
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. And Kate Amara is back in this one. That was one of the things that was decided quite early on because Pip and Jane Baker previously created and introduced the character in Mark of the Rani. I think that was their first story for Doctor Who, wasn't it?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And Kate O'Mara had got in contact with JNT to say she was hating being out there filming Dynasty or whatever out in the sun. She wanted to be miserable in a quarry instead, with a Welsh quarry with the rain pouring down, I think was the quote or something like that, isn't it? So
Well,
she was,
definitely got a quarry.
yeah, she was eager to come back. She probably got the most bland quarry of them all for this story. It's the 80s by this point, so they're able to digitally alter the sky, aren't they? I think
Yeah.
they've done it in quite a few stories, so they make it a bit pinky in this one, I think.
I think this one, compared to like 70s quarries, this definitely feels like a quarry though.
I think the awkward part is the way it's worked into plot is that it's meant to be this planet where these lizard people live.
Yeah.
The Lacurtians. And you just can't quite believe it's a place where they would live. I mean, I think even in the script, they wanted it to be more of a forest.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Which definitely would suit them. It just... And like, there's no mention of any great disaster or anything happening that's made it all this great. It's literally just, this is a planet of people that is very grey and dull.
I just don't think everything matches what you get with the Lacurtian. Like, you go to that leisure place, it doesn't feel very Lacurtian.
It doesn't match the exterior, really, does it?
No, you've got this sort of grand, big entrance with like these dragon thing, and really cool looking thing, very gothic. But you're like, that doesn't really match what's going on inside.
No, at least, I mean, Doctor Who, it's famous for using quarries. There's so many of them. But say something like Frontier in Space, which is a very grey and dull quarry. It's representing the planet of the Ogrons. You can imagine them living somewhere like that. Yeah. The presentation of the Lacurtians here, there's a lot of dissonance there between what you're presented with this society of people and what you're seeing with this very grey, dull quarry. I mean, they work for alien landscapes, but something got a bit lost in translation with this one.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I mean, we've not even started a synopsis yet, and we're already critiquing this one quite a bit, aren't we? So, shall we dive into episode 1 here? I think I'm up this time, aren't I?
Yeah, time to shoot you down.
Yeah, because we've got a pre-title sequence. Is it the first pre-title sequence in Doctor Who, actually?
Castrovalva, I want to say.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you do have one there.
Does that count as a regeneration to open a story? I don't know. Does that count?
Yes, but it's a reprise. So, I mean,
there we go.
Yeah. I mean, Robot had a reprise, didn't it?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But yeah, this is the first one with original footage because similar to how what was The Brink of Death ended, we have the 6th Doctor and Mel in the TARDIS being shot at, although we never actually see the 6th Doctor, obviously, other than the wig from behind. We're shot down. We land in this like rainbow effect on Lacurtia.
Yeah.
It's a bit of an interesting materialization. Rani storms aboard with her tech trap helper and says the iconic line, "Leave the girl, it's the man I want." I mean, what a start to an era that is.
Yep. That's a start. It's a start.
Yeah. And so McCoy is... Well, he regenerates, and then the Doctor is picked up, carried out, and taken over to Rani's lair, where she needs his help working on something. But first, a one of his helpers, the local Lacurtians, one of them isn't very happy with how things are being run here. So she storms off, tries to escape, but ends up tripping one of the Rani's traps, goes into a bubble, flies away, and crashes into the side of a mountain, I think. Yeah, and so you got her skeletal remains lying around out there in the quarry now.
Is that Faroon?
San, that is. Yeah. That is Faroon and Baeus' daughter, it turns out. Baeus doesn't seem that broken up by it, though.
No,
But he said,
Man of Steel.
yeah.
Lizard of Steel.
Yeah, that's it. So the Seventh Doctor wakes up, realizes it's the Rani who's captured him. He's got his faculties about him a bit, doesn't he? He does a bit of like gymnastics all over the place as he's rolling about.
They're really playing with the physicality and McCoy's clowning ability within this, which I think this is the only story you really get the full clowning.
Yeah. I think he did very much say he sort of regretted it a bit, how over the top he went. But I say it sort of fits the tone of the story, and also, it's not like he's sending anything up. I think this is, or if he is, it's material that's made to be sent up anyway.
It's playing to his strengths, I think.
Yeah, and starting on a high is better, and then toning it down as it goes along, rather than starting out lower than where you need to be. So I think in the end, it works out for McCoy's performance, really. And so he's then shot by one of the Tetraps and knocked out, really. So the Rani has to rethink her plan because she needs his help to get everything working for her plan to work. And so she dresses up as Mel.
Original?
It's an interesting way to go. And it's the most fun I have with this story is when you have Kato Mara mimicking Bonnie Langford's and just being a bit mean to the Doctor, really. And so, you have that interesting shot where she turns around in the wig and it's revealed that it's not actually Mel. I think she also injects him with like some amnesia stuff. Which is interesting because amnesia is sort of something that comes with the territory of post-regeneration anyway.
Yes.
And so having that there works for the fact that at the time this was being written, they weren't sure whether Colin Baker was going to do this final story as a regeneration story. So you could see that that's there so that it works both ways. So that you've either got Colin with amnesia thinking it's the Rani, or you have a recently regenerated Sylvester McCoy thinking it's Mel. Basically, meanwhile, in the TARDIS, Mel has woken up, found the Doctor's gone. So she goes out to look for him, runs into Icona, who is a local Lacurtian who is sort of rebelling against the Rani, isn't he? Most of them have sort of accepted her rule and are just going along to try and survive. He's one who wants to fight back, but he's not really got much of a plan on how to do so. And so they spend most of episode 1 just wandering around the quarry, really. But yeah, McCoy goes back to the TARDIS with Rani disguised as Mel because he needs to get some new clothes on. He's recently regenerated. He's got to get himself back together. Rani's sent on a Tetrap ahead to get Mel out of the TARDIS, but that's when she realizes that she's actually escaped. So McCoy tries on quite a few different costumes, doesn't he? He goes through you've got the cricket outfit of Davison, you've got the coat of Patrick Troughton before he finally unbuttons that to reveal his costume as it ended up being. Also gets slapped in the face against the mirror.
Yeah, because you see the weird sort of merging of Bonnie Langford and Kate O'Mara's face, which is kind of cursed.
Yeah, it is a bit. They're pushing the limits of the technology with this one, aren't they? Because those spheres are quite impressive and such.
I'd say the effects are really good.
Yeah, a lot of them are really good.
Like the model works great with the asteroid. And the rocket
the model
stuff's great. Lovely.
It's weird when you have that, especially when it's done on film, because it stands out so much against the rest of it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Just how good it looks. But yeah, so Mel and Icona, while wandering around the quarry, Mel ends up tripping over one of the Rani's traps and gets sent into a ball that's about to explode. End of episode 1.
So, part 2, we have Mel being freed from her bubble by Icona. And Mel wants to go into the Rani's lair, where we have the Doctor being held prisoner, helping the Rani build this machine. And the Doctor persuades the Rani to go and get a part from her TARDIS, from the TARDIS or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think she goes to her TARDIS to get it.
Yeah.
He doesn't know that she has a TARDIS, obviously.
Yeah.
She's just like convinces him, oh, I can go get that for you. And then, goes up and gets it.
While we have the sort of Doctor's fascination with what upstairs in the Rani's lair with what is the big brain. What we later find out in this story, don't we?
Yeah.
So Mel manages to get in and doesn't realise that that's the Doctor. So there's a bit of a throwing around and clowning, rolling about on the floor.
He thinks she's the Rani at first, doesn't he?
Yeah. But we get this really lovely. I think this is one of my favorite moments of the story. Actually, is when the Doctor realizes that's Mel, because they do check each other's pulses.
They check each other's pulses to see that one's a Time Lord and one's human. It's a very sweet moment, isn't it? Yes. I think the music helps a bit too.
It's very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, quite tender music there.
And I think this is when we get a Bears and Faroon revealing the big brain to the Doctor and Mel, where we realise that the Rani's rounding up a load of intelligent people to create a Gestalt mind.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? I mean, throughout history, the history of Earth at least, I think she's probably gone a bit far out than that. But you see Einstein there, don't you?
Yeah, there's a few
right
jokes in
the story.
Part 4.
Yeah, when he's getting all the geniuses back into the TARDIS.
And I think this is when the Rani comes back and all hell breaks loose, and the Doctor ends up facing the Tetraps in their little pit area, their lair.
Yeah, he's sort of hiding down there from the Rani, but he's not chosen the best spot to do so in, has he?
Yes. So that's part 2.
Yeah, and then he ends up, I think he just escapes by going back up the stairs, really, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He sort of just does a runner out of there, which, I mean, fair enough, it works. So episode 3 begins with that. We see the leisure place where the Lacertians spend most of their time just sat around. But there's a strange sphere in there, a recent addition, that ends up having all these little creatures in that come out and kill random Lacertians. Which, I mean, it feels like a bit of a stretch, really. But in terms of how because they're already being held hostage anyway by the Tetraps being there. It is one of the weaker areas of this story for me, and I think episode 3 overall is my least favorite because it doesn't feel like much happens. It just feels like it very much feels like it's just padding out to be a 4-parter, really. Like we have this whole swap where after Mel's captured, the Doctor agrees to give the Rani back a bit of the machinery he stole from her, wasn't it?
Yeah, because you got that sort of standoff, haven't you?
Yeah, they trade it back. But it turns out Mel is actually just a hologram and the Doctor fell for it. And so then they end up having to break back into the lair of the Rani again. Doctor obviously gets captured. Mel sort of serving as Bayus's new assistant for a while, isn't she?
Yes.
And so then she has to help strap him down into the machine so that the Doctor's mind can join with the big brain, because he knows about the concept of time. Seems to be the way they're doing it. And so that helps the Rani get the calculations she needs to blow up the asteroid and get the strange matter. I think is the plan here.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
yeah. And so you end the episode with the Seventh Doctor having a fit.
It feels very mind warpy, that, you know.
I can see that.
Yeah, it sort of reminds me of that. Should we go on to part 4?
Yeah, go for it.
So the resolution for this is we have the Doctor spouting nonsense to the brain, which causes the Rani to be a little bit annoyed, because this is when we get the full plan of the Rani that basically there's going to be a shell of chronons around Lacursha, and then that will feed off the energy of the dark matter and become the time manipulator.
Yeah.
For the story, and the Rani has the power to change the course of history, and change evolution of the universe.
It's very technobabble nonsense, isn't it, of the highest order?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a Christopher H. Bidmead, let's find what's in the New Scientist. It's kind of, these look like sciencey words, let's put them down on paper.
Yeah. Let's put a string of words together and hope they make sense of some kind.
So that leads everyone bar the Rani a little bit annoyed that they're going to be left on this planet to die. So we have Bayus. This feels very Chris Chibnall in a way. Maybe this is what inspired Chibnall. We have Bayus sacrificing himself to stop the rocket being launched at the asteroid, and you know, everyone's happy, everyone survived. The Rani gets taken away with the Tetraps, and that's
they're not very
story.
happy with her for proposing to leave her behind. So they sort of all hid in her TARDIS, made it their new lair.
Yeah.
Anime. Yeah, it's, as you could tell by the fact that we saw
a bit of a gobbledygook.
Yeah. I mean, the sacrifice thing, yeah, that wasn't great. It's very quickly done of, I'll stay here. And the Doctor just pretty much says thank you and walks out, doesn't he, really?
Yeah. He's a man of not many words, is the Seventh Doctor.
I mean, I imagine originally that would have been the role the Sixth Doctor played, had Colin Baker agreed to stay around, and that would have been the cause for his regeneration, which, yeah, would have been interesting, I suppose.
Well, blown into several pieces.
Yeah, I guess. And then the pieces come back together as McCoy. Maybe that would be
interesting. That's why he's a bit shorter, I think, fully. Back, you know.
Yeah, he lost a foot.
What? Literal foot or high place, you know? I don't know.
That's why he's got the umbrella.
Ah, there we go. It's a walking stick.
Along.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say we're not really that enthusiastic about the story.
I mean, I like Time of the Rani. I don't think it deserves the hate it gets. For me, it's my favourite of season 24.
I have a lot more fun with it than I did Twin Dilemma. Especially, I think the first two parts of this one are solid.
Yeah.
I think they're good fun. The Rani, as Mel, like I've said, is probably my favourite part of this story. I think there's just so much joy to be had in those scenes. Mel, as a character, I think is very underrated. Like, even on TV, she's known as the Screamer. And, I mean, for good reason.
You get that.
Those are very piercing screams. Yeah. But I think people sort of forget the rest of the character. Because she is often very driven and very motivated to get to the bottom of things. Like, she's not really a character to sit around and do nothing. I mean, throughout her debut story, which was also written by Pip and Jane Baker, The Terror of the Vervoids, in that story, she is very much the driving force of a lot of the Doctor's investigations. And so, yeah, I think she's great. And that does very much carry through to here as she tries to encourage Icona to do his bit and such. And Bayus as well, when she ends up paired with him. But yeah, I mean, part 3, like I said,
the killer very insects.
Yeah. all the stuff in the locution leisure place just doesn't do it for me whatsoever.
Yeah, I'd agree with
Yeah.
that. I think the
Yeah.
tech traps are
Like you've
brilliant.
got like you've got the tetraps putting those ankle bracelets on them
Yeah,
as leverage when they've already got that insect machine there anyway. So why is what's the point of the ankle bracelets? It just feels a bit over the top.
because the plot needed it.
Yeah,
I
the
don't
plot
know.
needed extra drama, so they need an extra gun against their heads.
We needed to pad it out a bit more, you know.
Yeah. But yeah, certainly it's. I mean, like we say, very strong production values in terms of the effects. I think was this Mike Tucker's first work on?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and
Um,
certainly does a good job there with a lot of things he brings along.
I think McCoy's great because I think this story really showed because Colin's doctor's a linguistic doctor. He's a man of many words, whereas McCoy, you can see him sort of fumbling over his words, which might be the amnesia or whatever. But I
Yeah,
like where we get that sort of contrast there.
there's a lot more physicality to his
Yes.
doctor, isn't it? Where he lacks in words in some ways. I think he's very much more physical. Like he'll do that thing where his fingers are dancing all over the place and such.
Or it's just his little hop around the room when he's investigating.
I mean the eyebrows as well. He's got a very expressive face.
You'll get
serves
that
him
in
well.
TV movie for sure.
Yeah, you'd really do.
Yeah. And I really think Colin's costume suits that clown performance you get in McCoy. That physical. I think he really rocks it, you know.
I think we said the same thing when we did Twin Dilemma, where
Yeah.
you said that, but I say it's only when you see someone who isn't Colin wearing the costume you realise how ridiculous the costume is. I feel like McCoy looks. Maybe it's just because of how short he is. Like, I don't think they shortened it for him or anything, did they?
No, I
He's-
thought
he's getting a bit lost in it.
yeah, because normally like the new series now they sort of tailor the costumes to fit better, whereas you can tell that they're like, oh, just stick it on. Fine.
Yeah. Or just regenerate the costumes with them now.
Yes, yeah. There we go.
But yeah, I suppose it's because they know as well that the costume's not going to stay around for long, are they?
Yeah.
And I mean, he gets rid of it in part one, so we're all fine. Doesn't Nick close from hospital this time, though?
No.
Yeah, we've got that tomorrow.
Yes.
And in a couple of days' time again, or probably about a week, maybe.
Yeah.
Whenever the 11th hour comes around.
I can't remember what day that is.
No.
It's near the end.
But yeah, I suppose. So yeah, you've revealed that Time and Rani is your favourite of season 24, haven't you?
Yes.
Which is, I'm surprised by. I thought it was Delta and the Bannerman.
I've soured on that one.
Have you gone back and watched it fully then?
No, I tried rewatching it last year, and I just was like, no, I'm not in the right headspace for it.
I think that used to be a guilty pleasure of yours, didn't it?
Yeah, as a kid, and I think maybe because I've become cynical and old, I've kind of like, no, this isn't that good.
I mean, my favourite of the season, I think, might be your least favourite. Actually, it's Paradise Towers.
Yeah, that's my least
I
favorite.
I get a lot of joy with that one. But yeah, Time and Rani probably falls somewhere in the middle. But shall we give it a rating?
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna note the music. I love the themes used within it. For like the countdown of the rocket. I love that.
I mean, you get it again throughout the McCoy era, don't you?
You get a little bit of in Paradise Towers as well. But I guess before we reveal a rating, should we talk about the title sequence? Because this was like one of the most expensive title sequences to the BBC at the current moment in time.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
So there's a bit of trivia later down the line. What do you think of the McCoy title sequence?
I really like it.
Yeah, I don't think it's bad.
Yeah. I think it's nice to get away from the time tunneliness that we've had since 74 by this point, isn't it?
Yeah.
When the second Pertwee
was it 73?
Oh
It was
yeah, it would
like
be
December.
73 right at the end. Yeah, with the Time Warrior. Because yeah, that very much since then, it's always constantly just going forward through a
Mm,
tunnel of some kind, isn't it? Really.
yeah.
Whereas now we're getting to move about a bit more. You can see
You have the
uh,
TARDIS in a marble.
technology. Yeah, which is interesting. I always sort of saw that as the force field, really.
Oh, I always thought it was just some sort of marble. And
No.
that's a good bit of merchandise. Get like a snow globe and like get some like paper bits and then go. It's the
Yeah.
McCoy title sequence.
Though people do that like resin and stuff. Like
Hmm.
you see they put a model in it and then sand it down around the side to make it a ball or something.
Yeah, like a bowling ball. Imagine that.
Oh, well, that would be something else entirely.
That would be cool. Be a
Uh,
nice paperweight. Yeah.
I'm just imagining the McCoy title sequence going into the Wii Sports bowling celebration now.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
There we go. A lot of
Uh,
clang.
but yeah, what do you make of the titles?
I think that it stands up quite well. I don't mind the McCoy wink. I
Davison does.
Yeah, he's like, I wanted a wink.
Yeah, that's one of the fun facts. If you haven't seen the behind the sofa for season 24, Peter Davison was not happy that Sylvester got to wink in his title sequence.
Yeah, I like the theme music as well. But yeah, I enjoy it. I think that it's cool. That's
I
all I
swear.
can really say.
Yeah, it's just fun, really, isn't it? It's one
Yeah,
of those odd things where it's like it's hard to express an opinion about because we've known it for so long now. It's just something that's there. It's
yes.
not something you think about too much at this point.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's nice having a middle eight in it though.
Yeah, that's nice. I do like a middle eight. I enjoy a middle eight.
Yeah.
Speaking of middle eights, that's what I'm gonna give this story an eight.
Oh, what a transition there.
Yeah. I thought I'd go for that. I see my opportunity. I'll go for it.
I'm gonna go 111. Lower than you.
Okay.
Tripping over my words like McCoy there a bit.
There we are. See, you're still on brand.
I'm gonna go a 7.
Ah, there we go. That's not bad, for Time and the Rani. Not bad.
Yeah,
Not
I think
bad.
there's meaner ratings out there.
Yeah, we've been harsher.
Yeah. To be honest, I feel like we've been quite harsh in this review of it, but yeah, like
It's just camp. It's fun. It's light. It's all right.
there's a lot to criticize, but none of it bothers me too much for the most part, especially not in the first 2 parts.
Yeah, because you're having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, that's it, really, isn't it? It's just switch your brain off, have a bit of a laugh, really.
Yeah.
Try not to get too depressed at the quarry.
Yeah, and the architecture. It doesn't match. Hurts my brain.
Yeah.
There we go.
You could tell a lot of the actors are having fun as well, and I think that comes across. You could tell Kate Amara in particular is enjoying being back in a miserable quarry.
Yes. Should we move away from a miserable quarry and go to San Francisco?
Yeah, let's take a holiday.
Let's take a
for the
holiday.
doctor.
Yes.
Let's just avoid the gun crime though.
Yeah. Different one that is.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you everyone for watching or listening to our Time in the Rani review. We'll see you tomorrow for the TV movie. If you've enjoyed this, then please like, subscribe for plenty more Regeneration videos upcoming. And if you haven't caught up on the series so far, then please do that. We appreciate that.
We're at the halfway mark now, aren't we?
Yeah, we
We're
are.
at the end of day 12. So that means for those of you who are watching this on the day it comes out, you've got 12 more sleeps left until Christmas. We've got a bit longer than that. It's just turned November here. Yeah, exciting times are ahead as we're sort of at the end of the classic series, really. I mean, officially in a way, but then you'll have people who will argue that the TV movie will count. So
yeah,
maybe we've got one more day to go, technically. Yeah, certainly times are going to be changing as we move on into the new series shortly.
There we go.
Yeah, that's what's coming up tomorrow, folks.
We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Take care.